What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense. Sorry, I was a little bit later. Uh, I don't know what's about to happen. Like the video as the intro plays. We got a lot to get into.
I was listening to Make It Make Sense. Shout out to Make It Make Sense.
It makes sense.
Make it make sense to me intellectually.
It made sense.
Make it make sense. You know what was up.
Big moves.
Surfer.
Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you see. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you see. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
You got pretty legs, man.
Oh man,
And they lanolated.
man, listen,
I mean,
I'm back working out.
You put shea butter, jerky.
Oh, you see that?
Okay, so you might be asking, why does Phaedra need to get exposed? Once you watch this past episode, you probably did like everybody else in the world did who watched the episode. You started trying to find out who this married pastor who had chopped Kelli down on a plane and then called one of Portia's messy friends and told, even though he's married. Everybody was looking, and I started thinking, that's not really right. I mean, it was every think piece you could imagine. I'm not gonna lie, I'm that kind of messy. I was looking at it too, but it's not right. We went into pretty much everybody. Mr. Chocolate was the first, just because he had a past with Phaedra. I thought personally it was these two because he has a history of cheating and she has a titty tattoo. And also because they had been at the BET Awards last year. So we were looking into all this, and before I started realizing that's not really fair. Portia coming up with some asinine story is kind of like par for the course, but wrapping Phaedra into it gave it some weird credibility, even though neither one of them is credible as it pertains to this show. And I didn't like it. So I'm going to do this review super quick, and then we're going to get into Creonta. Just because at this point, just because once I started like just pulling threads, I was like, how has she gotten away and moved through the world? Like some of it is just kind of like, damn. I would say Phaedra is arguably the shrewdest, most manipulative housewife we have seen in the history of the show. Buckle up, because it is gonna get a little messy. It is definitely gonna get a little messy. Neither this is awful. I'm with you. If you're talking about like the manhunt for, which priest did what or which pastor did what, let me tell you this. I stay on some of these people's asses. I did an expose on this particular pastor and what he had lied to his congregation about as it pertained to insurance. Jamal Bryant, I just did a think piece on what he did to the originator of the Target boycott. I stay on their necks when it is deserved, but us doing a witch hunt for some shit that Portia has said and Phaedra has co-signed, when we know what they do, it deserves a little bit more looking into. Why I saw this picture of Phaedra and her lovely mama, who is able to order from the plus size catalog that Cynthia models for. Phaedra's mom is looking lovely. She is a church attending. I think she's even a pastor. But when I saw this picture, why I thought Phaedra looked like Hottie from Flavor of Love. Tell me that Phaedra ain't a dead ringer for Hottie, from Flavor of Love in this picture. Sham says, I guess Claudia and Candy Burris was lying because they both can. Which rumor? Let me know. Let me know. Okay, starting off because we're gonna breeze through this. I did like the episode. We're getting a scene where Kelli is talking to her boyfriend for the last year that we're calling Jarvis because he does not want to be on camera. You are not a housewife that's been there long enough. You do not have the tenure not to show your life. So we're not showing your boyfriend. We can't show your kids, and your business is failing. Is something wrong? You're on a reality show. You do not have the luxury of not showing us all of your reality. Oh, somebody says Claudia seems to know who the married pastor is that slept with Kelli. I'll call Claudia tomorrow, but that's still not the point. It's the fact that we are again doing some type of hunt for some stuff that Portia and Phaedra have said. But yeah, I don't understand how these new housewives don't have to attend dinners. They don't have to do what everybody else had to do for years before they had the ability to say, I'm not going to show up to a scene. It's a little strange. She said that he wasn't her type. Now, based on Kelly's husband, when Kelli says that somebody came up to her and they were not her type, but she went ahead and dated them, I'm thinking that Jarvis, Tony Stark, looks like Sherry Shepherd's ex-husband. That's what I'm imagining Tony Stark looks like. K. Michelle is at the dentist with her husband. I don't have too much to say about this. K. Michelle, I know way too much about the inner workings of your body. So now we're on teeth. We've already we talked about your breast. We talked about your reconstruction or pulling out the free-floating silicone out of your butt. And now Phaedra is going to be hooking you up with a doctor to do some new type of experimental BBL. Miss Donkey Booty herself is going to be telling you where to go to get a BBL. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Maybe don't. Maybe just don't. Let me see. Phaedra, K. Michelle, and Kelli. So they have a flashback, and Phaedra admits to knowing about the black, but she doesn't know about any other schemes. Then she says, I don't recall it. I don't recall is a legal term. I feel like Phaedra is willing to throw anything involving Drew under the bus, but this season she has some type of connection with Portia, and they are going to make it work no matter what. Whatever comes out, they are going to have each other's back this time around. But Phaedra saying, I don't recall it, is legal jargon. Let me see. A lot of people are getting on K. Michelle because she said Phaedra knows how to tap out. Let me say this. None of these people are a great anchor. None of these people make sympathetic victims. All of these people come with their own shit. I like K. Michelle. Some of the stuff that she says sounds crazy. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to try to hold you. But none of these people are absolutely just likable. They all come with something. And this is the first time I think that we've seen a cast like that. Very few people I've heard say they have a favorite in this iteration of RHOA. Drew, Portia, Angela, and Creonta. Let me tell you this much. They all look good. Now, I give Phaedra a hard time, but Phaedra has come a long way. Phaedra has really gotten her look together. Phaedra's been hitting red carpets for years. And when I saw Phaedra come into this particular scene, I said, Phaedra looks good. Drew always looked good. Portia has always looked good. And then she's gotten all the right kind of plastic surgery. And Angela is a very striking woman. So everybody sitting at this table looked good. I liked Phaedra with the red hair. This was a fun scene because you need fun scenes. Drew is kind of out of place. Drew, Phaedra, and Portia don't necessarily seem like they would be hanging out, especially after Drew was person non grata with Portia last year. Phaedra looks really good. But again, she's talking about Angela appearing old. Phaedra, you just got your look together. And that comes with everything that Portia has styled herself with for years. When Mama Joyce was talking about Karma using Candy's old wigs, she probably meant to say Phaedra. Phaedra has wanted to be Portia, I would say maybe after Portia's second or third season. Phaedra tried to morph into Portia. She looks good, but stop critiquing these people's looks. Creonta, we see what it is. We see what it is. They look good though, all of them. Okay, I told you we're gonna breeze through this. We get a scene with Portia, Lauren, and Mama BBL. We're getting conversations about Portia and the thick neck dude Mike, and he wants a baby, and that's the red line. I in no way, shape, or form believe anything that Portia is saying about this man. At the end of the day, I feel like Portia really wants to be with her stud, and it's more palatable, it's more digestible for Portia and who Portia's been to have both of these people. But Sway is in the picture in present day, and Thick Neck Mike was there for television. So, but at least she's giving us a storyline. It's interesting that Sway is more on the, masculine side of things, but just like the brat, Sway wants to be the one to carry a child. So, I did not know that was like a thing. Called me ignorant. I didn't know that was like a thing for studs. But you're seeing more and more on television, the more masculine person in the female-female relationship is carrying the child. So at the end of the day, you can be a stud, but you're still a woman, and there's still a desire to carry a baby. So I like that storyline. I think it's interesting, and I think that Portia really likes her. I don't think Portia wants Thick Neck. But, if you got a little money, as Phaedra says when she throws Portia under the bus, anybody can get it as long as you can get her a private jet. But I do think that Sway is who Portia actually likes. And they seem to make a decent couple. Okay, so we get to a scene with Kelli and Shamia. Now, I know Shapisi and Kelli have gotten close, but this scene probably really should have been with her quote unquote best friend Portia of all of these years. Either Portia should have been there if they were on good terms, or her husband should have been there. I don't know why Kelli would be there at the surrogacy office waiting with Shamia to see if the last baby is going to take. It's very deep, and it seems very personal. I only have a few thoughts on Gerald and Shamia. Put in the chat if you feel like if Shamia does not give Gerald a boy, he might be out the door. And I think that might be part of the issue. I was watching a content creator. I wish I could remember her name. Somebody in her chat said that Shamia cannot carry a baby full term, and that's why she's going the surrogacy route. Let me just be honest. Sorry. I really do think that Gerald thought, okay, I'm a certain age. I don't have any children. And Shamia's looking for a rich African. She's a beautiful chocolate woman. Okay, I'm going to bring her on. She's a friend to this housewife show. She brings in a little money, but for the most part, she's going to be an actual live-in housewife. What Gerald got was a more calm version of Portia. I think he was fine with the booty room. I think he was fine with her acting. I think he was fine with even being friends with a girl like Portia. But Portia ruined that. The bubble popped when Portia let the world know that Shamia had probably done the same things with Candy that Portia wanted to do. That changed everything. So when she's saying, oh, yeah, you know, my husband was okay with me acting, but now he doesn't like me in the love scene. Yeah, he probably don't want you, you know, pussy popping on a handstand over there with Candy on a beach like she is right now, or she was 2 days ago, especially knowing that there's something sexual there. There is nothing that a rich, powerful man wants. There is nothing worse for a rich, powerful man to know that his woman that he puts on a pedestal and pays for everything and gives her $100,000 for albums that don't go anywhere is doing under his nose. There's a lot of rich, powerful men, or men like K. Michelle's husband, who might be able to get it. They might have an open relationship. But at the end of the day, I don't see that in Gerald. I see Gerald wanting and paying the cost to have a beautiful family, including a son, and a housewife who's going to stay at home, not a reformed Portia. So I think they have a really beautiful family. I hope that Shamia's desire to be famous does not mess up the good thing that she has. She just got a new Bentley convertible. She has a Rolls Royce truck. She has a $9 million home. Gerald has bank all over the United States. He is not just in Atlanta. He doesn't just do the Atlanta airport. He is Mr. HVAC. Don't mess it up. Especially if your best friend knows you're in a happy marriage and throws out that you are in any way sexual with a woman that is around you all the time, that woman does not have your best interest at heart or your family, and she is jealous. Portia is 100% jealous of Shamia. And that comment last season at the reunion, letting the world know that she had at least also kissed Candy, solidified that in my mind. Kelli and her daughter. I don't really have much to say about this scene. You know, kudos to her for going to school. Let's talk about this picture. Oh, why did Kelli let them put this picture on the screen? Why? The baby's cute. But Kelli, why? Why, Kelli? Why? Oh, no, Lord, why did you let them do this to you? Did you provide this? Ain't no way. If I had this much work done in present day on my face, that I would let anybody see what my face used to look like. Ain't no way, shape, or form. They must have paid her a premium. They must have given her an extra $1,000. They must have said, we will promote your failing bit. Ain't no way. No. You ain't getting up. You got to find a before and after. You got to find a before and after. It's not that she just gave birth. That's not the point. It's the point that it shows just how much work she had done. You want to be a little bit more subtle with the work, not all out there with the work. You get what I'm saying? It's not that it's a bad picture. It just is a different person. No way would I, if I had that many fillers in my face in 2026, you ain't seeing nothing from 2007. Nope. Nope. It's a different person. No. The baby's really cute though. It's a different woman. You ain't getting that from me. Let's continue. I told you that's all I had. Portia and her stud. Look, it's not too much I can say. Portia, Portia's a woman who has lived. I love when Regina Hall says that whenever she's calling somebody a hoe. You're a woman who's lived. She said that she gave her this number 10 years ago. 10 years ago was season 9, where we're getting all of the stuff happening with Phaedra, Portia, and Candy. So you gave your number to this woman season 9. Portia says it could be off by a year or two. Season 10 was the year that Kim came back. And season 11, by that point, I believe, was she with Dennis for season 11? Yes, she was already pregnant. So at some point, you was willing to creep with this woman. And we all know Portia, we go back to Bolo Gate. After she let Bolo tear her to shreds, I think Tanya was, the bitch that was eating her. She said, one of you bitches is eating me tonight. And I'm thinking it was Tanya. Portia tried to pray the gay away when she was with Cordell. Both of them was having booty off. Both of them was sending booty pictures. Both of them was eating women. Both of them probably would have tipped Bolo. Cordell and Portia should have stayed together. I don't know. Let me I don't know. I do know that Cordell had tooted up his booty and sent a video. We don't know who the video was sent to. And, we don't know. Let me take that back. We just know that there is a video of him tooted up, sending his butt specifically and his crack to somebody. We don't know who that somebody was. To clear that up. What if I've been drinking just water? Not Tyler Perry. Y'all are messy. Y'all are messy. I don't know what that man does. I don't know. But we do know that Portia said one of them bitches was eating her tonight. And maybe it was Sway way back when. In real time, Portia was just on a jet with Sway. Sway says she's a real estate developer. This is Atlanta. You could flip a 1-bedroom shack in the hood and call yourself a real estate developer in Atlanta. You could take one Photoshop picture, put it on your Instagram, and in Atlanta, you're a top model. And you could be anything you want in Atlanta. Phaedra's, is an attorney in Atlanta. You get where I'm going with that. Anybody could be anything in Atlanta, so who knows? But they were on a private jet. I think that Sway is really the one for Portia. When women say a man is for the streets, nobody cares. Nobody condemns men. But when women take charge of their bodies and their lives and they date and everybody jumps on them, like, what the hell? Let me say this. If we're talking about Portia, one thing that I took umbrage with was when Portia was talking about Kelli. And one of the reasons why I lay in on Portia is specifically what you're saying. Portia said out of her own mouth when she was saying that Kelli slept with the married man, oh, he was just being a man. but she was being a hoe. So by that metric that she has already established, that's why I talk about Portia the way that I do. Because that's exactly what Portia said about Kelli. She definitely gave leeway for the man who allegedly cheated and called Kelli a hoe for sleeping with him. What's up, Sabra? What's up, Lily? I see you in here. Phaedra's event. Now, when we get into Phaedra and talking about all the Phaedra shit, remember, she's a lawyer. Now we know she's a Reiki master. She plays the flute. All of that will come when we're talking about Phaedra and we start exposing her in a minute. Portia walks in fishnets. What's up, Norris? Look, it's not a secret that Portia is not cool with Shamia. It's not a secret that Portia does not like people to get shined. Shamia has a very natural looking mommy makeover. So Portia comes in fishnets. The problem if you're getting in somebody's pool is not that you're wearing a bikini, but anytime you add fishnets, you wear an actual thong in public, you are looking for a certain type of attention. And nothing in me says that Portia did this out of the blue. Portia did this because Shamia came to she called a meeting in Dallas in a bikini and her titties and ass was hanging out. So Portia said, let me try to one up you. I have been around Portia one time, and what comes to mind is that lyric from Drake. He said, I want a woman whose ass makes everybody in the room so uncomfortable. Portia's body is insane. The circumference of Portia's ass is insane. Samore said it the best. She said, it's a wraparound ass. It's an ass so big that when he rolled me over, I'm still on top. It's a wraparound ass. That's what Samore said. That's how Portia said. Portia has a great body. I saw people commenting about her abs, whether her abs are etched on or not. Portia is a woman in her 40s. Whatever work she's had done looks really great on her. But I do think that Portia is not liking the shine that Shamia is getting. What's up, spiritual gangsters? Hey, Mims, they all searching for a storyline this season. It's a mess. It's a mess in the best way. A wraparound. Y'all gonna go home talking about a wraparound ass. Yes, that's what she has. I love some more. Shamia, blah blah blah. Phaedra's a fruit player for 4 years. Okay. K Michelle. Sorry, we got Aiden. So Aiden is walking around shirtless. Thank God this is Atlanta and not Potomac. Thank God. Because if it was Potomac, by the end of the night, Ashley would have got his Instagram. See, when you don't have no morals or scruples about yourself, you will watch somebody in high school and take them down the minute their mom's back is turned. You can't trust nobody with a forehead like this. You just can't. Thank God this is Atlanta and not Potomac. Because Lil Aiden would be in trouble. Lil Aiden would be in trouble. At first I thought, was this Phaedra's sister? But then I found out Phaedra's sister is actually a city council member. So shout out to Phaedra's mom who raised people who, how do I want to say this? Because we're about to get into Phaedra. You know, she raised people who have very prominent titles and have come a long way. Phaedra has come a long way from the head doctor. K Michelle's Queen Court X. another thick neck dude. So clearly, well, I was about to say she has a type, but no, she don't have a type. K Michelle says that Portia was looking for people for the show, and I said bingo. So as I'm watching this, I'm thinking of Mike as just somebody who's there to move Portia's story along. When we hear that Portia is also quote unquote dating this other dude who was on a Bravo show, Portia is doing what she has always done. She secretly dates, and then she brings people who are looking for publicity or who are willing to go on the show with her. And that is the storyline. That is exactly, R. Kelly was never anything she was going to bring out until R. Kelly got taken down. I told you she dated this guy, a football player named Lance, after K Michelle. And how K Michelle initially described it was, Portia done dated people that I done dated, but they are quiet about it. They are not the people that Portia brings to the show. So I was like, as we get into K Michelle and Portia's beef, let's dig a little bit deeper. Portia understands the way this works. Portia does not want to add any extra bodies to her count. So she needs to go out and find people for the show, which is what I think she was doing with K Michelle's ex. But K Michelle is inadvertently spilling how Portia moves. And I repeat, Portia was looking for people for the show. And that's not even K Michelle trying to expose her. I don't even think K Michelle realized that she was breaking the fourth wall and letting us know how Portia operates. Stick with me, guys. This is about to move fast. I don't care anything about the Queen's Court. The Queen's Court was fake. They had all kinds of men who were not even interested in women on these shows. Blah, 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 blah. We talked about Shamia's new BBL. Cynthia came for all of 20 minutes. Shout out to Cynthia, who understands I just need to be here. Y'all don't allot a time for the friend of the show to stay. So shout out to Cynthia for getting her check and getting the hell out. Cynthia got to go home. She got to take her Activia and go to bed. Cynthia don't be, and you know, that tequila I heard be tearing up people's stomachs. Phaedra's dinner. So as K Michelle starts talking, and this is definitely a very calm dinner, K Michelle starts talking and it stops being calm very, very quickly. She goes on to say that Drew, Portia, and Phaedra, she was told there was a plot. Here's the thing. If somebody says, I heard that there was a plot for you to take me down, and your response to that is, well, just say you don't want to be my friend. That's not what she asked. That's not pertinent to what is being said. That is a diversion. That is a tactic not to answer a direct question. We, the audience who watch this show now, have watched all of these shows for years, and we're not stupid. Damn, most of us could probably be producers at this point. She's asking you, dingbat, or she's telling you that she heard there was a plot. You don't deny it. What you do say is, just say you don't want to be my friend. It's not what she said. So I like that K Michelle is calm at this point. K Michelle goes on to explain that the Kelli incident closed her off. And I'm like, okay, I'm following, I'm chugging along, we're getting there, it's making sense. When you go back and you watch that scene, K Michelle is like this. She definitely is concerned at like the veracity in their argument. Then we get to the miscarriage comment. Now, K Michelle, let that go. Now it's like, I think that for that part, you're trying to make that into something. I don't really see it being that big of a problem. At this point, Portia turns her head, which body language is telling you She's closed off to any real conversation that K Michelle might have because K Michelle at any given point can spill tea that she does not want out. She then asks, "Are you saying I'm trying to expose you?" And K Michelle says yes. And she says, "Well, about what?" And K Michelle says, "Why would I tell you what you are looking to expose me for?" I fell out of my seat when K Michelle said, "You got a spirit of exposure." I don't know why that shit was so funny to me. You have a spirit of exposure. Maybe because I got that same spirit. So maybe that's why that was so funny to me. So then they go on to say black is the fourth problem. Now that triggers Drew. And K Michelle says, "How would I know anything about you and black?" And to be honest with you, that's one of the things that I was initially thinking, is K Michelle like off? You brought up black. But now I'm thinking of it from the production side. These people get interviewed. They're asked all of these questions as it pertains to who you know, who you've done, who don't you like, who are you cool with in Atlanta, what do you know about the other cast people, do you know this person? So I could see it being a production point that black is brought up. And then K Michelle adds, "He's in my DMs." Now, the problem, K Michelle, is if production did that, you played right into it. So now you look crazy because you are a married woman. In my opinion, you got married because you had insecurities about being on the show. You knew people did not want you on the show. One person who might be spilling tea to K Michelle is Jason Lee. In the interview with Jason Lee, K Michelle and Jason both say people were calling around to get information on you. You can go back to his interview with K Michelle. So Jason Lee might be one of those people. I'm not saying he's the one that called her, quote unquote, while she was on the trip. But if you listen to that interview, he acknowledges at least that Phaedra had called him about K Michelle. She said, "Yodel your ass out, and obviously you don't fit in." When Drew told K, "Obviously you don't fit in," that hit K because that plays on every insecurity she has on being on the show. She said, "You want to run down my resume?" And K said, "It was easy. You ain't got one." Fell out of my seat. Fell out of my seat. Now the whole Yoda lady who you and nobody Drew, that is definitely not on the level of Rashida Got Bags. She did better with this the other day. This was better. She should have broke out into song.
She's just like you and me, but she's homeless. She's homeless.
First off, I love that song, but Drew is homeless.
She's just like you and me, but she's homeless. She's homeless.
K Michelle would have broke out into that song, I would have fell out of my bed. That was so much better than Yoda lady who Drew's a nobody, whatever she said. One more time, Kay.
She's just like you and me, but she's homeless. She's homeless.
If she would have sang that, that's all I got to say. Well, hold on. Somebody, K Dobbs says, or Kadab says, that's not funny. Be careful whose downfall you're celebrating. Now, here's the thing. Drew Sidora is not broke and homeless. She's not toothless and homeless. Drew Sidora makes probably $50,000-$60,000 a month. So what she's telling the judge is she'll be homeless is a lie. So I think that that's why we can just go ahead and allow it. She's not homeless. She's far from it. She makes a lot of money. She says she has an extensive resume. But I do get what you're saying. I've noted that Portia and Kay clearly respect each other, but neither one of them respects the other person that they're fighting. Kay does not respect Drew, and Portia does not respect Kelli. Kay says, I would like to finish what I was saying. Portia had allegedly told her ex-boyfriend, I don't understand why I always end up with somebody else's man. So let's look at the timeline super quick. If K. Michelle gets on the show and Portia knows that the dude that she is trying to get to be on the show with her has dated K. Michelle, and you are now calling that man to get information about K. Michelle that you could potentially use, then that's problematic. And if that's what we find out happened, then I'm team K. Michelle. Where I don't understand it is if Portia really was not trying to get any information about K. Michelle, I don't think that Portia wants any added bodies to her count. So she's not going to tell K. Michelle, you can use that. I'm going to tell you on the low so that when you get mad at me, you can say I'm a hoe or that's the third man that you then came behind you. I'm with Portia there. I don't need to tell you who the hell I slept with. We're not friends like that. We weren't sleeping with this person at the same time. I'm there. Now, Portia was trying to get some oppositional research on K. Michelle. Then I'm with K. But we'll have to find out with more information. Angela is salivating at this. Angela is thirsting for this information. This is Angela's face. I love Angela, but she's a special she's a special kind of messy. Sabra says, Mims, please don't slut shame women. Women can have body counts. I absolutely 100% agree with you. Remember, Sabra, I'm sex positive, but in reviewing a show, it's very different than what you're going to get when we're talking about sexual assault survivors, when we're talking about women having agency over their own bodies. I'm only doing to Portia what Portia did last week. So just to point that out, I'm only giving Portia what she puts out. I say anybody wants to, male, female, non-binary, trans, whatever you want to do, live it up. But if you are going to talk about somebody else's body count in a way that diminishes them when I'm reviewing the show, that's more than likely what you're going to get. Just, an FYI, but I definitely hear what you're saying. Let me see. So yeah, Angela is salivating. Look at that face. She is ready to pounce on any information. She's want to know who is the man. Asking Pinky, and Pinky don't care about none of this. Pinky has been trying to figure out if the food was organic. Pinky don't give a damn. Pinky is me. Pinky is definitely me in this situation. I want to know. Okay, we get to Creonta. Now, this might sound bad, so I'm giving you guys a fair warning about this. Creonta saying that her and Portia have had overlap. Hear me out, people. Phaedra has wanted to be Portia for years. Phaedra came on as the smart woman. Phaedra then tried her best to morph into Portia. So sometimes, and you guys can put in the chat if you know somebody like this, sometimes you have somebody, whether it's a friend or one of your ops, they love to say that they slept with the same person that you slept with because then that affirms their position. If somebody wants to be you, the quickest and easiest way that they can, outside of dressing like you, getting the hair like you, getting the plastic surgery, is to start letting people know that y'all slept with the same people. This woman consistently this entire season has basically said that Portia is a whore. You got the money, you got the pussy. That's what she said. So it is very interesting that she's quick to point this out for the camera. She didn't have to put this out. She wanted to. She is letting Portia think that they are in cahoots this season, but Phaedra has been one of her biggest ops. Again with the timeline. Was Portia asking the ex about K Michelle when she found out K was on the show? And I said this already. K Michelle, I'm looking at you a little funny here though, ma'am. Like, you are a married woman. Now, mind you, they say that your man looked like he got liver spots on his face or something, and you allow him to bang other women in front of you, for lack of a better term. So your open relationship is very, I don't know what y'all got going on. But you say you don't want to put any bodies on women, but you clearly have done that your entire reality TV career. So some of these things, I'm with you, some I'm not. I don't really know. We know that you got an open relationship and you personally like chocolate cat. That's it. I don't know. We get back into it being her last public ex. I still don't think, if she's not asking for oppositional research on you, she has to tell you that she's messing with your ex. Portia says K Michelle is too sensitive. And then this is where things got a little tricky. Portia said, he said, I said positive things about you. So then that adds to the timeline. That means that you were asking about Portia after you were asking K Michelle's ex about K Michelle after you found K was on the show. So this is why I believe Portia doesn't really want K saying these things, because it breaks the fourth wall. And I think that she is guilty of trying to figure out some stuff about K Michelle. So then Portia says, you ain't got to worry about it. Kelli says, you ain't got to worry about it. And then Kay says, you ain't got to worry about it. That was, I guess, their way of trying to do who said that, but it didn't work. That fell flat. Kelli then says that Portia has effed every Nigerian in Atlanta. Portia begins to put her finger in Kelly's face, and Kelli responds with putting the glass in the face. They break it up. But that's when Portia says, you did sleep with that married preacher. And Phaedra, you know who I'm talking about because it's your client. And that is where the show ends. And the manhunt begins to out which preacher this woman potentially slept with. And that gets me to Phaedra Parks. Now, Phaedra is a very interesting character. Like I said, Phaedra was one of my favorite characters. But Phaedra consistently has lied. Consistently. We're going to get into it.
Totally understand. Did you know the due date or did you not?
I did know the due date.
You did. And so was it because your mom was very religious?
No, it was not. I had a lot of problems with the pregnancy, so I wasn't sure a lot of times if I was going to go full term with the baby. At no point in time during my pregnancy did anyone really care about me as a person. Everyone was more concerned with gossiping.
That is diversion. That is a lie. That's a lie. At the end of the day, you got caught in a lie because you were allegedly letting Apollo bust it down on an air mattress in a halfway house. You got pregnant, and you know, this was before you were married. But the diversions, all the tactics that she used, this was the first time that we saw somebody get caught in such a horrible lie. And it didn't even have to be a lie. Next was one that was just a little bit more funny, but the shell was cracking. And it was Phaedra lying about cursing about Cynthia.
She had to go back and apologize.
Excuse my spelling, F-U-C-K, if I came to this part.
Woman would lie about anything, big or small.
Actually told me that you pretty much said that you really didn't give a, excuse my spelling, F-U-C-K, if I came to this part or not.
Well, I did not say that. And I think, you know, I don't talk like that.
Well, I was very, very surprised to hear it. But, I mean, are you sure you didn't say that? Well, that's you. Like, I gotta go out of town. I really don't give a...
Lies. And she's saying on camera, I don't talk like that. And we are going to get into the Angela Stanton of it all. Where we talk about plot,
About me to my own family members. At the end of the day, we are blood. They're going to come back and tell me that you're stupid. You're not smart. You're not smart.
Oh,
if you're
really?
going to go sit with somebody's family members and actually think they're going to side with you at the end of the day.
They were the ones that came to me. Phaedra, please let us come to the party. We want to come to the party. We got Aiden.
Because you somewhere trying to drop some bug in their ear. Come get on the show. Come get on, you know, some bullshit like that. It doesn't
Bug
matter.
in their
Phaedra.
ear?
You
Really?
did it. You did.
again, caught in a lie. These are the more menial lies, but caught in a lie. You literally wanted to bring somebody's family member to Aiden's birthday party where the woman was supposed to spill all of Nene's tea and allege that Nene and her husband Greg had defrauded people in the family. That's what happened. I know that's what happened at the baby shower because way back when Michelle AT-Alien blogged about it. That was what the woman was saying, that Nene and Greg had defrauded family members, and Phaedra brought on the show, and never does Phaedra acknowledge when she's caught in a lie, which might make it easier. Now, this was a little bit more nefarious. This was when everything happened with Candy, Portia, and Phaedra.
But at the end of the day, I came on the trip to be positive, and we all know Portia can handle herself. Portia's a strong woman. Portia's a great friend, and she is not a liar. I will say that. But then on the second note, it was already becoming very heated, and I think it was going in a bad direction. So I didn't need to add any more fuel to that fire.
All right. Thanks for
when she had actually created it. So I want to talk, like, this is where we're getting into more of the nefarious stuff. Let me take this off. So I noticed a few things that are kind of troubling. You guys remember the scene where Todd and Phaedra are getting to it at a reunion.
Let's keep it real. You know so much about what Todd is doing, but Apollo was in your house and you ain't know what the he was doing? Get out of here, man.
Really?
And then that was a very direct, pointed thing to say. You did not know what was going on in your household. This is how Phaedra responded.
But when your mom died and you asked me for a favor, that's what I did a favor for you.
My mom ain't got nothing to do.
So he's asking, because the feds was looking for everything, all the money, the ATVs, everything, going to Cynthia's house, going to Candy's house. You don't know anything about what your husband did, naturally, because if you did, you can't incriminate yourself. You go in to say that you sat for Todd and helped him through the death of his mother. Do you know who else she did that for right before she allegedly put a knife in her back?
Courthouse, and they wouldn't transport any prisoners. Phaedra went to my mother's funeral and stood on my behalf. And probably about 2 days later after my mother's funeral, I received a card in the mail from Phaedra telling me that everything would be okay when I got home.
That's part of the reason why I'm doing this video. You ingratiate yourself to people at their most weak time. Whenever somebody experiences a death, that is one of those things that could be damn near debilitating. So you have Todd asking you very pertinent questions about y'all's business relationship, and you start talking about his mother's death, only to find out that Angela Stanton had just given birth to her child in prison. You had told her allegedly that you were going to be her an attorney and that you were going to help her get out of prison. You go and you stand for her at her mother's funeral, only to then Angela Stanton said when it came time for her attorney to come forward, the judge said Phaedra Parks called and said that she would not be your attorney. She has a conflict of interest. But you stood in at the funeral for Angela Stanton knowing that. That was just interesting to me. Let me get this.
Angela Stanton sitting in my
First of all,
office.
I sued her and won the case.
What did you win? Because the book's still out there, honey.
Well, it should be out there.
You can buy that book right now.
So you're on a Bravo stage saying that you sued Angela and won the case. That's not true either.
Now what's your case? Dismissed?
Dismissed with prejudice.
So you can sell your book.
I can tell my book. I can tell my story. She can't do anything about it. She's forfeiting her rights.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Angela Stanton sitting in my
First of all,
office.
I sued her and won the case.
What did you win? Because the book's still out there, honey.
Well, it should be out there.
You can buy that book right now.
So Phaedra and Angela were both suing each other. Phaedra agreed to drop everything if Angela dropped everything. So why would you be saying on the stage that you sued her and won? I missed that. What'd you say?
She's musty.
Let's get into this because this was interesting to me as well. You guys remember this, I'm sure.
He was looking for you and he was going to blow you to up.
Oh my.
Y'all remember that?
He was looking for you and he was going to blow you to up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So the person who was looking for her and who was going to blow her the F up was a man named DJ Drama. So I want you guys to hear this.
A young artist that had just hit the scene named Drama, I caught his attention. This is how I ended up meeting Phaedra through my relationship with Drama. For some reason, Phaedra and I...
So a little bit more information on Drama.
Drama eventually got sentenced to 12 years for armed robbery, and my relationship with Phaedra pursued, and we became very...
So when you hear that, let's rethink how this was put out there. A man gets out of prison who has a connection to Phaedra, who used to date Phaedra's quote unquote alleged ex-accomplice. Alleged. That's all what Angela put in her book. On the show, and around Atlanta, it gets out that he has gone and said he was going to blow you up. I don't think the man ever said he was going to blow her up. I think the man said, I'm going to blow up your spot. He was angry with Phaedra. Now, in terms of what they actually did, I'm not quite sure. But Angela was around, got sentenced to prison. Phaedra was out. Apollo was around, got sentenced to prison. Phaedra was not. Apollo's brother got sentenced to prison. Phaedra was not. Everybody around Phaedra is getting sentenced to prison and Phaedra is not. I really do think that that's why the man went to her quote unquote law office, which we're about to get to. I think that's what he said. I'm going to blow up your spot. And Phaedra can't go into that. But we do know that she told Kandi that after that, she had armed guards. She's telling everybody else that there was no issue. And she talked to Homeland Security. But at that point, Kandi was still her friend. And she said that she needed armed security with her. So was DJ Drama actually bringing some tapes or what? And it's my belief that that's not the truth. Let's move on to Chuck. Now, I told you guys it was a little interesting that she is acknowledging that she messed with somebody that Portia messed with, but listen to this. And shout out to Unreasonable Black Woman.
Would result in her talking about sex. She would often elaborate about her performance of some type of sexual act. Phaedra threw herself at any man she felt she could benefit from. And that was just about any entertainer or athlete who showed interest.
Eighth grade, nothing, Phaedra. We caught up with each other when you was a young lawyer trying to get in the game.
No.
I'm the big homie.
Yeah, please. Now,
Hey, I want you to admit it's okay.
it might be because of all the concussions. You know, he was a linebacker, so he charged to get in the head too many times.
Dude, back in the day, when you was trying to come up and be super successful, I was that guy in Atlanta. I was in my prime. I was from your hometown. And that's what it is. What describes who we really were, we're the first version of friends with benefits, girl.
First off, what I've heard about Chuck is Chuck was, let's just say, not exactly able to please a woman. And that's why when Kandi was messing with him, and we all know Kandi likes to be pleasured, when Kandi was messing with him, he was having to buy Mama Joyce Louis Vuitton bags and shoes and pay bills because let's just say that the head doctor, how do I want to put that? The head doctor had to really, look for the specimen. I don't know how else to say it. So yeah, Chuck was trash, but it is very interesting. Let's continue.
But that ain't it, y'all. That ain't it. Listen to this. I considered Phaedra a friend, so there were plenty of visits to her home. Some were for business and plenty for pleasure. Sometimes I would visit her just so we could talk over a glass of wine. We talked about everything from men, clothes, sex, children, and the future. She also shared her personal photo album with me. There were all kinds of pictures of her dressed up as a dominatrix, bent over and posing in different positions. I was shocked, but it didn't stop me from looking. I bet it did it. Phaedra tripped me out, and I continued.
Get that visual out of your head. I want to get into this scene because this scene was very disturbing, but very telling at the same time. You guys remember when Apollo was going crazy because he was about to go back to jail for another stint for fraud. He said something that I don't think Phaedra wanted on camera.
I might leave you with nothing because I built this whole mother house. Since you want to talk to me? This is my
Okay.
I told you stop playing with me.
You're acting crazy, not me.
You want to change on me? You changing.
Did you hear what he said? He said that Phaedra, that he built this house. Now, again, the feds were looking at everything. The house that Phaedra owned in Buckhead. Well, let me just start by saying this. These things are just my opinion. I'm just looking at it as an observer, somebody who's watched Phaedra's trajectory. The first rule of somebody looking to get caught is to go the hood rich route. So if you're doing something that is illegal and maybe you didn't come from shit and now you have money, there comes the jewelry, the houses, the cars. That's the first way to get caught. When we met Phaedra, she was a quote unquote successful attorney in Atlanta, and Phaedra lived in a modest home. She moved into a home with her husband Apollo and their son in Buckhead. It was a nice home. Apollo just said, "Stop playing with me. I built this house." Apollo was paying the bills. We're supposed to believe that Phaedra did not know anything about his illegal activity. The house was put in her name because Phaedra is smart and shrewd. But you guys can put in the chat how you feel about Apollo making comments like he spends $10,000 a night at the strip club and he pays these bills at this home and he built this house. That came out of his mouth. But Phaedra, this brilliant attorney with all of these degrees, was he paying bills? Apollo also said that Phaedra purposefully changed his name so that the finalized divorce decree where he got nothing would not go to him in prison. And if he did not contest it, then that would have just been it. He would not have gotten anything. So we have her allegedly doing something underhanded there. You're an attorney. These are the things you're paid to do. Do you guys think that it just was a happenstance that a divorce decree where Apollo gets nothing is sent with the wrong name so that he does not show up, does not contest it, and it's just done? That's very, very, very interesting. I wanted to show you something else. So when in the same vein of Phaedra having a lot of jobs, I wanted to test some of those things out because she has branded herself as somebody who has a lot of jobs. When I looked up Phaedra's law firm, you know what I could not find? An actual website. What type of law firm in present day does not have a website? How would clients actually get to you? You have an address, but anybody could have like a PO box. Anybody could have an office. What type of law firm does not tell you we've won this many cases, we have helped this many clients, these are some of our famous clients? It was very strange for you to be a celebrity lawyer with your own boutique law firm, the Parks Group, and you don't have even a website. So I said, okay, well, let me go to her actual Instagram because she's a mortician. She's, Pinky says she's eating the bodies. She's a lawyer, even though Bobby Brown said that, she was more concerned about becoming famous and he went to jail every time that she represented him. And, we got wiggly-eyed Bob Whitfield beating Phaedra in court, but she's an attorney, no website. So I'm like, okay, she has to on her Instagram because she has 5 million followers. She would definitely be promoting her law firm. So I can get a link there. Let me go to Phaedra's Instagram so I can see just what Phaedra wants to promote. I get to Phaedra's Instagram and she's promoting Cameo. I'm sure some people just want Phaedra to make a funny face or say "Fix It Jesus" for $50 at their birthday parties, but that's not a link to your law firm. She's promoting an ultimate ladies cruise. Sounds like something K. Michelle and Portia would love to attend, and Robin Dixon, but that's not your law firm. And then she's promoting Cheez-Its. Where are the links to whatever services you offer for, when you want to play the flute or you want to help somebody with their Reiki or you want to represent them in court or like, am I, what is happening? You have branded yourself a person with all of these businesses, but I don't see where any of these businesses are, I don't know, pulling in money, where you're at least trying to get people to follow the link to go see about the business. Right. Her branding is crazier than Cardi B, but now I don't know. You guys can put it in the chat. Have you ever seen a show called Claws? Well, the premise of Clause was some women who had access to people who were maybe doing things that weren't necessarily legal, and they would have verifiable, legitimate businesses wash the money. And then you reinvest the wash money into the business, or you pay people out or whatever. It's just very strange that a person who has branded themselves a consummate professional is surrounded by crooks that she has no idea that they're stealing. Angela Stanton's writing whole books about how allegedly Phaedra Parks used to work for like Geico, or I think it was Geico. And she alleges that Phaedra, prior to becoming an attorney, how they would do insurance fraud was, let's say your mom got a $30,000 check. They would recreate that check, and somebody like Angela, who didn't know any better or who was young and wanted some fast money, would then go to the bank and cash that check. And then by the time Phaedra became an attorney, she said that Phaedra would tell her, if we get caught up, we're going to get you out, only to find out when the court case actually comes, that doesn't happen. Now, I'm not saying any of these things are true. Angela Stanton alleges these things in her book, which I might read, but it's very interesting to see somebody who's such a, church going, top tier attorney surrounded by all of these people who are going to prison all the time. It's very, very, very interesting. I showed it on the screen. Did you see a website for the Parks group? Do you know? I'm just saying, these are things that people have to ask themselves when you look at this lady. Again, Phaedra giving credence to what Portia said is problematic. It's very problematic. And people don't really look at Creonta. We're looking all around. Creonta's the same kind of person who only face tunes herself in a photo. How the hell you face tune just yourself in a photo? That's selfish. Portia and Phaedra had us looking all around for who might be Phaedra's client. That was a preacher who was dipping it and doing it with Kelli. That's a problem. We got lying on due dates, lying on whether you want people at parties. Those things are simple. Those things are great for television, but things take a little bit more sinister turn when you get allegations like Angela Stanton lodged against her. There was an article from, I think, 2025, 2024 that said she was still at, she was the partner at the Parks Group. Was it the founding partner? I'm not sure. Don't hold me to it. But that was just from 2024, 2025. There was an article of her talking about it. And she still talks about these things on the show. Where are all the clients? Where's the website? And again, I only stumbled on this because I was being messy following the breadcrumbs. And the easiest way to follow the breadcrumbs about who our clients are is to go to the website, and the website doesn't exist. That's when I started like pulling strings I turned into Angela. There's questions that people have about Phaedra, and I think that those questions are warranted, and people should be asking more questions about Phaedra and the way Phaedra moves. I don't have to go into all of the Angela Stanton stuff. There's lots of interviews you can look at, or you can purchase her book, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Y'all like the video on your way out. I might read the book and bring you guys some more stuff. But y'all have a good night. Thank you. I know we're on a little bit later, and I'll definitely be back to review the show next week. and there should be some more videos rolling out. I have an announcement. I am in pre-production for a podcast with Simone from Girl Is That Legal, and a man who created an Instagram account called Here ASAP that you will see me mention from time to time. We're in pre-production. Hopefully we'll have our first kind of like test run out by this Saturday. So I would love it if you guys would check that out. I will keep you up to date on that. I'm kind of excited about it because those two are like low-key firebrands. So we're having another meeting tomorrow, but I think Saturday will be our first trial run, and that might be broadcast on my channel, Simone's channel, and here ASAP's Instagram. So I will see you guys later. Have a good night.